Hello and welcome to episode 15 of the Learning Guitar series. This is an important episode because we're kind of wrapping up the first part of this series by discussing the shape of G form, and we already looked at the scale that went with it and also the arpeggio, in this case major 7. It's important because we're closing the entire chapter, and now we have the 5 shapes of scales, all the major arpeggios in Ionian mode, and now we will have also the chords, major chords in this case, across the entire neck. So not only we're learning this particular form, but actually now we should be starting to be able to play chords all across the neck, no matter what. Either if we're working just in one area of the guitar or if we're moving horizontally across it. The shape itself might not be too comfortable in terms of strumming type of guitar, but there is a lot of little chords hidden beneath it, which are very interesting and very good sounding. Like this, for example, like major 7. I like particularly this one with a 9. 9 for major 7, major 6. They really come handy, in particular when connecting shapes. I'll give you an example. Is the best thing to do. Let's say I have a C chord, and of course, more likely beside open chord. Very common shape. Very common shape. Right in the middle of it, there is our G form. Okay, so the best way to look at this is how I connect this to this in an horizontal manner, and there you go, right? And now I am in the following shape. How do we practice this? Well, first of all, let's actually have a look at the PDF that as usual you can download. So as you can see, you have the usual bunch of chord forms. Of course, there is more than this, and I left some blank spaces for you in case you want to add some more. As I mentioned before, I tend to subdivide them in forms which contains the root note on top, and I tend to use these ones in case duo with the singer or with any other instrument. But if the guitar is also carrying the role of having to project the root note, the bass note. And also, then I have a bunch of chords instead that I use when there is a bass player. So I can omit the root note. In fact, don't forget, black dots is actually notes you're playing. These are barres, obviously. And the white one instead are just for you to have a reference of where your root note would be. Of course, in this particular shape, you have 3 root notes, 1, 2, and 3. So you can have multiple references when it comes to visual memory. So once you have, explored some of these chord shapes, and as I say, there is many. I mean, don't forget, this is your root note, so this will be a B with a 6th and a 9, 2 6s, and then a 3rd. How do we practice this? Well, a good way of doing this at this stage, since you have all the shapes, is to actually create a melodic line and then trying to move across the guitar following the melodic line, staying in the same key. I'll give you an example. It's actually easier to show you than to talk about it. Since we practiced a lot of things in the key of G since the beginning of this series, I'll do this in the key of G. So let's take a G Ionian scale, but on one string. Okay? And this is, root note, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, major 7, root note. If I start from here, and I'm going to try and create a chord for each of these notes. Then the second one. Then the third one. Now I'm in the shape of D. Fourth. 6th, major 7. And now we are in that shape, right? And then we're back to the root note. So basically try and create using, in this case I'm trying to keep the bass as, as much as possible. I could do like this. We're back. That's... And of course you can do it with small chords. Right? I could do the same thing starting in this case, we will start from the 5th. And we are still in G. Same thing. It's an inversion, or major 7 in the bass. And maybe choose a different key every day. Say tomorrow you try this in E flat, so that's E flat in the shape of D, E flat in the shape of C, E flat in the shape of A, E flat shape of G, this is the new shape, E flat in the shape of V, and then we're back, E flat, right? Same thing, maybe. So that's your root note. Or. So several ways to approach this, but I think this is more likely the best way for you to kind of start to visualizing these chords. And needless to say, I mean, there are several approaches. I mean, of course, this is not a complete study on chords. I mean, I think there is a couple of books by Ted Green. I mean, I'm sure there are. I don't just think I actually have them, which are fantastic on the subject, and they really dig deep into the concept of chords and chord melody. I think also like a word of mention is worth mentioning. Alan Ashworth approach to this. He's a fusion player, in case those of you that don't know him. And but although he's a fusion player and of course applies his approach to his own music, I think the way he sees it can be also useful for us in other genre of music. In this case, he tends to see chords within the scale. So, in a way, forget everything we've done in terms of chords, and say if in this case shape of G, this would be the scale. It just tends to extract 3 notes or more from the scale. So these 3 notes belong to the scale. So that's a chord in the key of C. Does it make sense? Well, I hope it does make sense. I think it also it's a very interesting and very creative approach that you can look into. And from that point of view, you need to have a very good visualization of the scale shapes in order to do that. So, in the key of C, again, we have this, but what you're thinking are the notes in the scale. And we've done these exercises before, right? So this becomes everything is a chord, within that particular key. And you're looking at it from the perspective of the scale as opposed to chords. In fact, I mean, the way he calls it is chord scales. Okay, so chords derived from the scale. You're just extracting 3 notes at a time, 4 notes at a time, 5 notes at a time from the actual scale. Of course, you could stop and say, okay, and try and give it a name. Personally, I would not bother, right? But I'm thinking of the scale right now. I'm not thinking of any particular chord shape like on the PDF. Different approaches, I think, both worth investigating for you in case you want to know more about this. So, Alan Ashworth, and I think there is a few videos of him on YouTube discussing this, and of course Ted Green. So now that we looked at the shape of G and the chord that comes with it, and a way you can learn not only those chords but only connect them, it's worth discussing a way you can exercise all the knowledge you accumulated so far into one big exercise, okay, where you can apply pretty much everything you learned. In this case, I'm applying it to a chord progression based on a cycle of fourths. And by cycle of fourths, what I mean is I'm going to start from a G chord. Now, the fourth of G is, so 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth of G is C. So from a G chord, I'm going to move to a C chord. The fourth of C is F. So from C, I'm going to go to F, and so forth and so on. So the fourth of F is B flat, and the fourth of B flat is E flat. As you can see, I'm using all the shapes because I'm staying within that particular area of the guitar. The fourth of E flat is A flat. The fourth of A flat is C sharp. The fourth of C sharp is F sharp. The fourth of F sharp is B. The fourth of B is E. The fourth of E is A. The fourth of A is D. The fourth of D is G. And I'm back to G. Not only I'm back to G, I'm also going up the neck on the guitar at the same time, which means that as I progress, so from G, C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, where we are, A flat, C sharp, F sharp, B, E, A, then you're back D, and you're back to G. So now you covered the third shape. So we started here, and now, thanks to the cycle of fourths, we find ourselves here. Okay, and I can keep going, and I would end up, on the top of the guitar. So as you can see, this is very, very useful, because it's covering all 12 keys of the guitar and is moving you up the neck. The fact of covering all 12 keys in one exercise could also be achieved by using the cycle of fifths. Same principle, but instead of, say, starting from G, instead of moving to its fourth, so C, we're moving to its fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you would go from G to D, from D to A, because it's the fifth of D, from A to E, because it's the fifth of A. Personally, I prefer the cycle of fourths, but it's just a preference. It's irrelevant. You might want to use the cycle of fifths. So to this particular progression, by the way, I'm going to just write it down and leave it as a PDF in case you forget it. But what you're looking at is G, C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, C sharp, F sharp, B, E, A, D, and you're back to G. Now you can apply anything you learned. Let's say you want to verify if you know all the major 7 arpeggios that you learned, okay? In a way, it's not the easiest thing of exercise to do, but it comes out like this. So G, C major 7, F major 7, B flat major 7, E flat, A flat, C sharp, F sharp, B, E, A, D, and 4. By doing this, you're going to go through pretty much all the forms that you learned in these first 15 lessons in one single exercise. You could do the same with scales, for example. So again, let's start from G, and we are in the shape of E, and I have G, followed by C, and that's C, and that's the scale that goes with it, followed by F, followed by B flat, followed by E flat, followed by A flat. And as you can see, you're already back to this kind of shape, but you're moving up on the neck once again. So you have A flat, C sharp, F sharp, B, E, A, D, and you're back to G. This time is in this particular form, D4. Same you can do with your chord exercises. So let's say G, C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, C sharp, F sharp, and so forth and so on. So after F sharp, B, E, the progression is always the same. You could take a different area of the guitar if you wouldn't want to start at the bottom. As I say, the cycle of fourth, even if you start at the bottom, it was going to lead you all the way up the guitar. But it's, let's say you want to study just one particular area, let's say, I don't know, here. Again, G, C, F, or this, B flat, E flat, A flat, C sharp, or this, F sharp. See how this chord, by the way, sorry I'm digressing, but it comes from the new shape you just learned. It's very comfortable to extend your A shape and then connect you to your E shape. In the future, I might write a PDF just on this cycle of fourth and how many different type of exercises. But bear in mind, say you decide to practice intervals of seconds, anything which has been on the PDFs can be applied to this. So say intervals of seconds, so which you've done individually, say this particular. Now we're in C. F, B flat. As you can see, like you can literally, I know I'm repeating myself, but you can take any single word that we studied in the previous PDF and apply it to the cycle of fourth to make sure that you covered all 5 shapes with the equal amount of attention. If you get stuck with this, it means that somewhere, whatever shape of D, shape of A, so far, something has not been totally practiced or studied. Say, same thing applied to intervals of fourths. So that's G, C, and F, B flat, alternative version, that's G, right, and then C, F, B flat, and then, I don't know, E flat, right? I just don't want to waste your time, but going through all 12 keys. But I think at this point you get the gist of it. Now, one little, no surprise, but a little gift for you. I actually prepared the backing track, which I'm going to allow you to, you'll be able to download. And it's just a basic backing track with some drums, bass, and some keys. It's a cycle of fourths, 4 bars per chord, so you have enough time to think what's next. And just a little detour, to think what's next is actually very important when you're trying to practice this thing, and especially if you're going to improvise them in terms of exercising. You always want to look ahead. And I think there's a great jazz guitar player called Kurt Rosenwinkel. I think his metaphor explains it very right. When you're driving a car, you don't look at the bonnet. You don't look, at where you are. You look ahead. If there is a bend, whatever you're preparing for what's next. And the same thing is happening here. So when you're playing C, think, okay, when you're playing G in this case, think C, I'm going to C. Okay, now I'm in C, I'm going to F. So you can't lead there. You're always leading to the next thing, always leading to the next thing. Otherwise, the risk is both your chord playing, and in particular your solo playing, will feel like a bunch of licks. So on this chord I'm playing this, then on this chord I'm playing this, then on this chord I'm playing this, as opposed to one journey all across. I'll show you how I will practice this with a backing track, and I'm going to start with the chords, then move to single lines, and then so maybe using arpeggios and scales, and I'm going to do this both with a clean sound, and then I'm also going to put some distortion on, so you understand that these kind of exercises or this kind of studies, they're definitely not genre related. We go back to, we have words, the alphabet, and that's the scales, okay? Then you have words, which are all these exercises that I'm asking you to do in the PDFs, fourths, triads, extended triads. And hopefully those will transform into phrases. Once you have the words, start applying this idea of looking ahead. Always look where it's going, okay? That's gonna create phrases, okay? And not licks. Hopefully you understand the difference. So let's have a look at with the backing track. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson. As I said, this is an important one, mainly actually for the second or fourth type of exercises, because it does encompass everything you learned so far. And the next lesson is going to be about theory. Actually, it's going to be focused on explaining you, starting from union, which is what we're doing. We're going to derive the rest of the modes. Also, that will give a logic to the exercises you've done with triads and extended triads. So next lesson is actually particularly important, as in it will kind of lay the foundation for everything that is to come. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy the gift of a backing track that you can practice to. It's at 100 BPM. I think it's a good speed to practice things, so that you can move also like across, triplets, and they're not too fast. 16 notes are not too fast. It's kind of a comfortable speed, at least for me, even when I'm practicing and using 100 BPM as a starting point. Is a good reference. So I'll see you for next lesson, and thank you very much for following until now. Feel free to leave comments. If you have any question, I'll try and answer it. As usual, I hope this is useful for you, and I'll see you next time.